Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. I have finally moved and settled into my new home. I mentioned this in my previous video, and many of you have asked me about it. I got divorced last fall and I finally moved out. I am now renting a little house not far from where I used to live. So I still live in Ukraine. I still live in the same city, just have a different place. It has all been very hard, especially with the war. But I am taking it one day at a time and believing that it will get better and that everything will be okay one day. I just need to be patient for that day to arrive. Now, this video is not about that. I just wanted to give you an update and explain why I haven't been posting much lately. Let's go back to crafting. Crafting has been my happy place. It has been my escape. So I'm very grateful to have crafting in my life. In this video, I have several personalized birthday cards created with the Spellbinders Stitched Numbers More collection. This collection includes just two products. So there's a set of stitched numbers. You can see them here on my magnetic sheet. And by the way, I've started making these large magnetic sheets for my larger die sets, and I love them. Opposed to the 6x6 magnetic sheets that I showed you in one of my storage or organizational videos. I still have the 6x6 sheets, but I find that this larger sheets work better. They hold so much more, and I don't have to worry about the dies falling off or anything like that. I just use the Simon Says Stamp chipboard sheets to adhere the magnetic sheet to, and the chipboard comes in the large letter sheets. So it is very convenient. Highly recommend this type of storage for your dies. It's very easy. You have them all laid out, very easy to find your dies. So highly recommended. So this Stitched Numbers and More collection is an addition to the Stitched Alphabet collection Spellbinders released last year, and I think it is absolutely brilliant. The size of the numbers is the same as the size of the letters. Here I have some of the letters that I stitched creatively last year. I was trying different types of embroidery stitches on these. I never turned them into cards, but rather kept them on my desk for reference so that I could remember what kinds of unique stitches I can do on these types of stitching dies. By the way, I do have a video with the stitched alphabet dies. I have several card ideas featuring these dies, exploring the analogous color combinations for card making. So check it out if you haven't already seen it. So we have the numbers, and there's also a set with punctuation. Now, I didn't use the punctuation dies today, but I wanted to show them to you anyway because they are a great addition to the stitched alphabet, especially if you plan on using the stitched alphabet for scrapbooking or some large home decor. By the way, my friend Joka Marco, I visited her when I was in Frankfurt this February for Create a World show. She has this huge frame art piece with a quote, all made using the stitched alphabet dies. It's hanging in her living room. And when I saw it on her wall, I gasped. It is so amazing and beautiful and full of color. And this is exactly how these dies can be used on a much bigger scale outside of card making to really make an impact. So my idea for these cards was to think of the recipient before I started to make the card. So I thought about my friends with their upcoming birthdays. I thought about their age, and I picked the specific number. So I made the card specifically for that person instead of making just a generic card. I think it is always best to make a personalized card whenever you can, as that card will be remembered and treasured more versus a regular card. Now, I find I prefer to die cut these stitchable elements, so either the stitched letters or the stitched numbers twice, and adhere them together just so that I can have a sturdier die cut. Now, when you do your stitching, it is very easy to mangle your die cut. You pull the thread and it catches on a piece of a die cut, and the die cut can bend or you can tear your die cut. So doubling the cardstock is a very good idea here. It makes your die cut much sturdier and it holds the thread better, I think. Now, while these are stitching dies, you do not have to stitch them. You can use them as is, just with the die cut openings, leave them unstitched, add a different color cardstock behind it using a shadow die, and you can be good to go. So speaking of the dies, each number, and the same with the letter dies, so each of these has a main die cut, the one that has the open holes for stitching, and there's also a shadow die. So you can die cut one piece from one color of cardstock and the shadow piece from a different color, maybe, a lighter or a darker color, and just do that without any stitching if you don't like to stitch or if you don't have the time to do your stitching. I personally quite enjoy stitching. It relaxes me. I find it therapeutic, so I don't mind. And I actually look forward to doing some stitching every month, especially with the Spellbinders Stitching Die of the Month. I get to stitch a little bit each month, and I really enjoy the process. So here I used a white diamond thread from DMC. This is a metallic thread. It is a little bit tricky to use because it isn't as soft as the regular thread, but it has a beautiful shine to it, and I just really love it. In fact, I've used nearly the entire spool already, and I just ordered another one. That's how much I love and how much I use this particular type and color of thread for my cards. Now, I did some basic stitching here, just simple lines, but I do have a video showing how to do 3 different types of embroidery stitches on these types of dies. So if you want to get really creative, take your time and stitch these in a unique way, I have a video showing how you can do that. So I then added foam adhesive squares to the back of my stitch numbers, and I foam mounted them onto the colorful shadows. I used colored cardstock here, and I went with 2 shades of the same color for my numbers. So I have a lighter stitched number die cut and then a darker shadow piece die cut. Now I noticed that I had thread coming out of one of the holes. I didn't do a very good job securing it. I just tied it into a knot on the back, but like I said, this thread is stiff, so it doesn't hold well. I should have added a little bit of glue. So it was coming undone, and there wasn't much I could do at this point. So I just plan to add a flower embellishment over it later, and you'll see that on the finished card. As for the card design, I had a simple layout planned in my head with the numbers taking the focal point of my card and then a sentiment that reads "Happy Birthday." To do the sentiment, I used both glimmer plates and dies. I first did the foiling, and here I have a glimmer plate that reads "Happy Birthday." I'm not sure where this particular glimmer plate comes from. There are many glimmer plate sets with the happy birthday sentiment, so just look through your stash and I'm sure you'll find one. If you have one that reads just birthday, that's even better. I knew I had one. I looked everywhere for it, but I couldn't find it, so I'm using the happy birthday. But I just need to foil the word birthday because I will add the happy using a die. And to be able to do that, I kind of need to do some masking. So I added a piece of yellow tape over the section that reads happy. So I know that I need to not add foil here. I hope that makes sense. I just need to align the untaped part of the glimmer plate on my cardstock panel. So the untaped part is the part that says birthday. And this, by the way, the cardstock here, this is the Spellbinders brushed white cardstock. I adore this paper. It is gorgeous. It has a beautiful shine to it. It is very classy and elegant. It also comes in black. If you've not used it, if you've not tried it, I highly recommend it. Go ahead and order a pack. You will love it. And it also foils really well. So I aligned the glimmer plate on my panel and I taped it in place. Next, I slid a piece of matte gold foil under it, and then I used another piece of tape to secure it all in place. And this tape is the Spellbinders yellow tape. I really love using it for all of my foiling and die cutting. So I have foil just under the word birthday, and the yellow tape on the left tells me where the word birthday ends and where the word happy begins so that I don't accidentally foil the word happy. This is just like doing masking when you do stamping, but here we're doing it with the glimmer plates and not the clear stamps. Next, I just followed my glimmer hot foil system instructions and I foiled the sentiment. I've shown foiling many times here on my channel, but in case you're new to hot foil stamping, here is a quick rundown. So you place your paper with the glimmer plate onto your glimmer hot foil system, you add your shims on top, and you press the timer button. This will take about 1 minute, and what it does, it heats up your plate. Once the light stops flashing and turns solid green, you can take the platform out of the base and send it through your die cutting machine. Here I'm using the new Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting and embossing machine, and I'm sending it through slowly. I'm sending it forward and back, and then I'm taking it back to my Glimmer hot foil system. I'm docking it so that it remains hot in case I need to do more foiling. And here's a look at the beautiful foiled birthday. Now, we did get the impression from a word happy on the panel. You can see it, it's not invisible. It is impressed into the paper, but I will hide it by placing other elements over it so the recipient won't see it on the finished card. I also went ahead and I did some die cutting off camera. I used the Spellbinders 4-petal Thank You Floral dies to die cut the flowers for the card. And this die set, I featured it in one of my previous videos talking about maximalism in card making. So this die set features a large stem and lots of different flowers. And what I did, so I just cut this stem apart to use for individual flowers. I also die cut the word happy. I picked this particular die because all of the letters are connected here, so it is one die cut and it is easier to handle. Now, the TH comes from an older set from Spellbinders, the February 2021 large die of the month called Birthday Wishes for Everyone. I'm not sure if this set is still available. If it is, it will be listed and linked in my video description below. Okay, let's go ahead and put this card together. I'm first going to foam bound the numbers in the center of my panel above the foiled birthday, and I'm using a ton of foam adhesive here as my cards are always dimensional. I just don't like how my cards look if I don't have things popped up. They look very flat and unappealing to me, so I just always add a ton of foam adhesive. Now, I used white fun foam and I added a die cut fun foam layer behind the TH and also behind the happy, as I needed to pop these up as well. And I also cut the loop on the Y in my word happy off so that it would be able to overlap the TH and have everything level. Overlapping is another thing I like to do. It helps connect the elements in my card and sort of balance everything. Next, I added my florals. I basically placed them around the numbers, filling the background in with the colorful flowers. And I kind of went with simple coloring here. So if I have the teal numbers, I also have the teal flowers and some purple flowers. Or if I have the pink numbers, I have the pink flowers and then the orange flowers. So these are sort of monochromatic, not quite, but a little bit on the monochromatic side. So here's a look at my personalized birthday cards featuring the Spellbinders Stitched Numbers dies. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you feel inspired to create. Thanks for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.